All right, we're back, Tyler. It's
Hey,
dSIPRouter Weekly. So how's it going, Tyler?
it's doing all right, doing all right. Squashing bugs, like it's our job or something. It's been a busy week, like always. I think we got a few interesting things to go over today about the project. How's everything going with you, Mac?
Things are going well, man. Busy, getting to that time of the year. We're trying to wrap things up. So super excited about some of the projects we have going on. So yeah. So what did you want to? So this is kind of our new format, by the way, everybody. We are going to try and make it a little bit more engaging for you. Make it a little bit more succinct. I don't know, smaller, like very like manageable pieces of information we're going to give you. So
More
like 15
bite-sized.
minutes, more bite size. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
great. 15 minutes of our show. So the segments are going to be basically, we're going to kind of tell you what's happening, what's new, what's going on, what we're working on, and then we're going to have a 5-minute like show and tell, and then we'll end. So that's the goal. We'll run this format for a little bit, see how you folks love it or don't love it. Give us feedback, and then we'll iterate on it. So Tyler, with that being said, what interesting things did you want to chat about today?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of work recently on RHEL ecosystem support. We put beta support in, or we put alpha support in a while back. I just committed up some beta support, and basically for everybody who's been asking, we're going to support all the latest on CentOS, RHEL, Amazon Linux, Alma, and Rocky Linux. So we want to get that out there, let everybody test around and hack around on it. And really, we want to know how many people are using, the RHEL ecosystem, how many people need that support. Because if it's something that, people aren't really using, we're not gonna take the time to go through all that extra testing, all that extra development. So we'll get that out. Oh yeah, and Ubuntu support. So that one was new as well. I know a few people asked a while back about Ubuntu support, but looking at 24.04, the LTS release, we'll have that out this release as well. So
Wow.
Mac and I, we've been talking about what we're targeting because the to-do list keeps on building up. We got to cut the release at some point. I think we're looking at January right now for this release.
Yes. Yep. So we want to make sure we're bringing something of quality, and that we're not we're not causing regressions in our platform. So I think that taking it a little bit slower and easy, and making sure that we are giving you a reduced, I was going to say a no bug release, but I want to say a reduced bug filled release is what we want to do, because we understand that you're trusting us with with your routing needs. So we want to ensure that we're minimizing any regressions or bugs that may cause you to have any type of downtime or issues of that fact. So we definitely appreciate everybody who's supporting the project.
Yep, we appreciate everybody. I know that this isn't like a regular release schedule, but we tend to favor the way that Linus and the kernel team does their releases. When things are stable and ready, we'll push it out. We'd rather wait until that. We have talked about it in the past, actually. This is an interesting one, doing beta releases as well. We haven't got that into the workflow yet, but I think with the upgrade tool that we can probably have a real easy checkbox for that, for people to upgrade and test out. We just got to make sure that people can revert back if they're doing beta launches, and make sure that they can go from beta to stable as well.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing when doing upgrades is sometimes you're trying to ensure that people can go backwards if need to, right? Or how do we recover from a failure? And I don't know if we actually got that down just yet, but we definitely want to get there. so that we minimize, any type of downtime. Because a quick story real quickly is that, like, this past week, Camilio released a new version. Well, actually last week they released a new version of Camilio, and in the downstream packages there was a bug that prevented us from being able to run our installer, and it impacted somebody doing an upgrade. So, those things, obviously it causes a lot of pain for people. So we want to minimize that in our own platform, right? And by
Yep.
doing
Yep.
a little bit more testing and all that good stuff. And I think also we want to shield ourselves from these upstream projects as well, because they're human. They make mistakes, right? So I think that's one of the things that Tyler and I talk about as well, because a lot of times
Yeah.
we'll take the defaults, right? When we install something, and we be like, oh, okay, well, the way they're packaging it is fine. We can just take the defaults. But I think we've learned over time now, we got to be like, no, we got to specify exactly these configuration parameters, so that if they decide to, add some things or whatever to their upstream, we're not depending on, we're not hoping that it won't break. At least we'll define explicitly what stuff we want to take from a particular upstream package, so that we can minimize these issues.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you brought that up, actually. So that specific case that just came up, and for everybody's like own knowledge, to test to like 100% COVID coverage is kind of impossible. It's like everybody says it's a holy grail, but it's almost impossible, because you're not going to be able to know every use case that people are going to use your software, right? So in that particular case, there was one code path that was, one module that was being used by probably, 1% of people, and it probably just didn't get tested. So those things happen. And that's why actually this specific use case, we looked back and said, well, why are the Debian versions upgrading the Camilio version? So we went back and looked, and there was only minor release tracking. So in this next release, you'll see we're pinning each version to all the way down to the patch. So patch version, it's all going to be stuck on the tested version. There's going to be no minor release updates. So once the next version that we get a full test through goes, then we pin to the next one. Try and avoid these issues here.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. Like you said, it's hard to like test everything. You know what I mean? But you, yeah, it's hard to test everything. But by pinning things, well, at least we can validate that the versions that we're releasing work. And so I think that'll
Have been
help a
tested,
lot.
by
You've been
us.
tested, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because before, originally our thought process was like, oh, okay, well, we use packages in our install because we're like, well, we want people whenever they install to get the latest and greatest from these upstream packages. But I think we've learned over years. This isn't the first time, by the way. There's also been, Python packages as well that we didn't pin. But by pinning, we know for sure. Now you may not be able to get the latest release of whatever module that's available in Camilio, for example, but we're not that far behind in our releases anyway. So you'll get it sooner than later, but we're no longer going to leave it up to chance and trust that, oh, everything's working 100% on the upstream. So I think that's the main thing. I think and not saying again, this is no ding on them, right? This is just human. People make mistakes. We just want to, the best we can, protect our end users from these mistakes. And I think that's what we're trying to achieve here.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And I mean, it's not like we're way behind. We're right up at the previous patch release. So, you guys will see my commits up there, walls of upgrades, but we always go through and test the latest and greatest, see if it works out in our use case. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
Did you have a demo that you want to go over, Mac?
Yeah. So what we're going to do in this segment, this next segment, is really just give you an idea. Like a lot of times, people download dSIPRouter and they're they're just they just need to use it really quickly to solve a need, and that need is typically I have some PBXs and I have a carrier. I need them to be able to communicate. But then people are
Mhm.
like, well, all right, I installed this thing, but well, how do I kind of skin it? How do I make it look like my brand? And I'm not going to go through a full demo of like how to like skin it. I want to show you where the things are, and you can at least you'll know where things are, and you can go and make changes as you need. Okay, so that's what I wanted to kind of walk through today, and this is going to be part of an ongoing series that we're going to have, kind of like small, like like show and tells, so you could be able to get more familiar with the project and understand where things actually reside. So
Cool.
with that being said, let's just kind of jump in here. I want to make my screen a little bit bigger for people can see. I'll do a little bit more here. I think that's pretty good. That looks good. Tyler, that looks good.
Can you get your font up like a?
Another. Is that good? No.
That's better.
Okay. Let me do another one. All right. That's probably good. Is that good?
Yep.
A little
Yep.
bit more. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So really quickly, so typically where we tell people to install dSIPRouter per the documentation is opt dSIPRouter. In that directory structure, you got a bunch of stuff in this directory structure. The main UI portion sits in this directory called GUI, graphical user interface, for those who don't understand what that means. And inside of here is pretty much all the Python components that make dSIPRouter run. So this obviously, by me saying that, that dSIPRouter is built leveraging Python. And there's a templating engine, part of Python that we use, and it's called Jinja, and it's been around for a while, and it's pretty easy to use. I won't get into all the details of that. Maybe I'll do a full-blown video on this at some point, but all of the templates are in a directory called templates, and then you can see all of the actual files that make up all the pages inside of dSIPRouter. So a lot of these pages there's a whole inheritance model built into this. So you can kind of lay out the structure of a page, and then you can say other pages are based on that particular structure. So one of the structures that we have is called the full width layout. All right. This is gonna look a little crazy because it's there. Okay, so this is like it lays out and says, all right, these are some of the components we're going to use inside of it. So these are some like Python libraries we can use inside of it. Don't worry about that. But you can kind of see here the syntax here is basically curly bracket, %. You can define different blocks that you can put your own custom code into. And then there's a whole kind of structure on where kind of like the overall like layout of a particular page. Again, I'll talk in more detail about what this layout is and how it looks and all of it at some point. But what I want to point out here is if you wanted to be able to change the dSIPRouter image inside of like the pages inside of the UI, you would just change this logo here. So all the logos and all the images, all the images is in a subdirectory called images. So you can see here, the image by default is dSIPRouter, and you can see the name and all that good stuff. So if you look at, if I change the directory, or I'll just do a ls images, I think it's a
So
one up again.
that's in static.
Yeah, so that is in static and images. So all the templates to Tyler's point, all of the static pages, the pages that don't get rendered, are all in the static directory, which is at the same level as the template directory. So if you do a ls-l static images, you can see here goes the images that we have. You can do a couple of different approaches. One, you can just take these images here in particular the dSIPRouter image here, and you can just download it, and then you can just, because if you download it and open it up in something like Canva, you'll be able to see the dimensions of it, and then you can modify it to fit whatever you can build whatever image you want, but just make sure it fits the same size. That way you don't have to go around and muck with the template or the CSS file to actually define a different size, because otherwise it's going to probably make everything look a little bit off on the UI. But that's a quick way that you can change the image that's being used in dSIPRouter. Likewise, if you really wanted to, and again, I'll go into more detail. If you wanted to be able to change something, way some things look, there's a couple of different cascading style sheets that we use. So basically, every page could have its own cascading style sheet, but the main.css is the one where you can modify. The way I would go about this is that I would use your browser. So I would go into the I'll show it really quickly, and then we'll close up here. I'll change screens here, stop, and see if we can log into an instance real quickly. And
while you're doing that, I'll just comment on the main.css is like your main one that they all kind of inherit from, but they're all going to have their own separate per page CSS and JS. It's no crazy frameworks, all vanilla JS and HTML, just a little bit of templating.
Yeah,
we're a little old school here, But hey, we got jQuery.
Yeah, we got jQuery for sure. I don't know. For some reason, if you wanted to change something in here for some reason, I'm trying to think about, maybe I'll go back to the dashboard, maybe go from there. So let's just say you wanted to change the look and feel of this. This is normal stuff. So if you're not, highly technical around, cascading stations, HTML, you can work with somebody to do this, but this is the way I do it. I just do an inspect on the actual element. In this case, is just the heading for the documentation. And then I look and figure out, okay, the class of this is panel underscore or panel hyphen heading. And then I go look for that inside the CSS file, and then you can change the color. So for some reason, if you want to change this color from gray to blue or whatever, you can go change it there. So I just wanted to give a quick intro to where this stuff's lived, how I go about, whenever I think about changing stuff, and if you want to change the logo. So that's just a quick thing. I'll have a more detailed video that talks through this if you want it. So let us know, give us feedback. I won't create it until I get some feedback from folks and say, hey, go spend some time talking through that. And maybe this will be something that will be helpful. But this is a segment that Tyler and I are going to do, every week now, on something quick and easy to kind of give you more insight into how dSIPRouter is built and how you could customize it to fit your needs.
Yeah, love the demo.
Yeah,
all right,
for sure.
We're gonna keep it short and sweet.
Yep.
Let's just go ahead with closing comments here. So, what am I excited about? Upcoming server-side pagination. So I'm working on that on the site as well. And then finally getting the rel ecosystem stabilized for dSIPRouter. What do you look forward to, Mac?
Let's see. I don't know. I think there's so many different things. Probably just getting it to a point where we have some consistent module architecture. We have modules, kind of different modules for different things. We have a module kind of framework for authentication. We have a couple kind of a module framework for different components. So just getting into a point where we can start realizing our vision of have a marketplace. So that's it, man. So this has been great. This has been quick and dirty. We'll see y'all next week. If you have any questions or issues, hit us up in our Slack. They'll be in the notes below, and we'll go from there. So signing out.
Signing off. See you guys.